How is it that the Jewish people, less than 0.2% of the world population, have built wealth and legacy across centuries, while others struggle from paycheck to paycheck? This question has puzzled historians, economists, and seekers of prosperity for generations. Some attribute it to luck, others to privilege, but the truth runs far deeper than surface explanations. The secret of Jewish wealth is not found in hidden conspiracies or genetic advantages. It's found in principles that have been passed down through millennia, principles that any person can learn and apply. Tonight, we're going to shatter the myths and reveal the truth. Jewish prosperity is not an accident of history. It's the result of spiritual, mental, and generational wisdom that has been refined through centuries of both triumph and persecution. When the Jewish people lost their homeland, their temple, and their material possessions, they didn't lose their wealth-building principles. Instead, they carried these sacred truths in their hearts and minds, rebuilding prosperity wherever they went. The real secret lies in understanding that wealth is not merely about accumulating money. It's about cultivating a mindset, establishing sacred patterns, and building legacy that transcends generations. King Solomon, the wisest and wealthiest man who ever lived, understood this. His wisdom wasn't just about personal enrichment, it was about creating systems of prosperity that would endure. Napoleon Hill, the great student of success, discovered similar principles when he studied the wealthy and successful. What Hill observed in the minds of 20th century millionaires, Solomon had already encoded in biblical wisdom 3,000 years earlier. In this journey together, we're going to explore 7 hidden foundations of wealth that have shaped Jewish prosperity for centuries. These aren't just historical curiosities. They're practical principles that can transform your relationship with money, success, and legacy. We'll discover how Solomon's request for wisdom before riches became a blueprint for Jewish success, how the concept of inheritance begins with identity rather than assets, and how purpose-driven prosperity creates wealth that lasts. We'll uncover the secret of discipline infused with delight, the power of community-based wealth creation, the mysterious law of generosity that multiplies resources, and the kind of faith that moves mountains and builds empires. Each principle is both ancient and urgently relevant, both spiritual and deeply practical. If you're ready to uncover the principles that shape generations of wealth and learn how to apply them in your own life, subscribe now, hit the notification bell, and stay with us until the very end. This could be the wisdom you've been waiting for. The first foundation of Jewish wealth begins with a story that changed the course of human history. When King Solomon became ruler of Israel, he could have asked for anything: long life, the death of his enemies, or riches beyond imagination. Instead, he made a request that revealed the deepest secret of lasting prosperity. He asked for wisdom. In 1 Kings chapter 3, we read how God appeared to Solomon in a dream and said, "Ask what I shall give you." Solomon's response was extraordinary. "Give your servant therefore an understanding mind to govern your people, that I may discern between good and evil." This moment reveals the first principle of Jewish wealth: wisdom before wealth. Solomon understood what Napoleon Hill would later call the starting point of all achievement, that success begins in the mind, not in the bank account. The Jewish people have carried this principle for thousands of years, creating a culture where learning is more valuable than earning, where the pursuit of knowledge takes precedence over the pursuit of profit. Walk into any Jewish home throughout history, and you'll find something remarkable. Books aren't just decorations, they're treasures. The tradition of Jewish learning isn't confined to religious study. It encompasses every field of human knowledge, because the Jewish mind recognizes that wisdom is the seed from which all prosperity grows. This is why Jewish families have produced Nobel Prize winners, groundbreaking scientists, innovative entrepreneurs, and transformative thinkers at rates far exceeding their population percentage. Napoleon Hill discovered this same principle when he studied successful individuals. In Think and Grow Rich, he observed that wealthy people think differently before they act differently. They develop their minds before they develop their wealth. They understand that poverty is primarily a state of mind, and prosperity begins with mental transformation. The Jewish people have lived this truth for millennia, creating educational systems, study traditions, and mental disciplines that prepare the mind for success. Solomon's wisdom, first approach, yielded extraordinary results. Because he sought understanding, God gave him not only wisdom, but also riches and honor, such that no king would compare with him. This isn't just a spiritual principle, it's a practical formula. When you develop wisdom first, you make better decisions, recognize opportunities others miss, and build wealth that endures beyond market fluctuations and economic upheavals. The practical application of this principle transforms how we approach success. Instead of chasing the latest get-rich-quick scheme or following market trends blindly, we invest in our minds first. We read, study, learn, and grow intellectually before we invest financially. We develop the mental framework that can handle wealth before we acquire it. This is why lottery winners often lose their fortunes. They gain wealth without gaining the wisdom to maintain it. Jewish culture has institutionalized this principle through traditions like the value placed on education, the respect given to teachers and scholars, and the understanding that intellectual inheritance is more valuable than material inheritance. When Jewish families invest in their children's education, they're not just preparing them for careers, they're implanting the mental seeds of lifelong prosperity. The second foundation of Jewish wealth is perhaps the most profound and least understood by modern success seekers. It's the principle that inheritance begins with identity, not assets. The Jewish understanding of legacy transcends material possessions and enters the realm of character, values, and generational wisdom. This principle is beautifully captured in Proverbs 22, verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. Itan, the Hebrew concept of ledor v'dor, from generation to generation, reveals how Jewish prosperity is built. It's not created in a single lifetime and then lost in the next. Instead, it's carefully cultivated and passed down through an intricate system of identity formation that begins in childhood. Jewish parents don't just teach their children what to do, they teach them who they are. They understand that identity shapes destiny, that how a child sees themselves determines how they will navigate the world. Napoleon Hill recognized this same principle when he studied the power of environment and suggestion in shaping human consciousness. In Outwitting the Devil, Hill revealed how dominant thoughts are formed through repetition and early environmental influences. What Hill observed in successful individuals, Jewish families have practiced for generations. They create environments where children naturally absorb success principles, where prosperity thinking becomes as natural as breathing. This identity-first approach to inheritance means that Jewish children grow up with certain assumptions about their potential and their responsibility. They assume they can learn, achieve, and contribute meaningfully to the world. They assume that obstacles are temporary and that persistence pays off. They assume that they have a role to play in making the world better. These assumptions, planted early and reinforced consistently, become the foundation upon which lifetime prosperity is built. The contrast with modern approaches to inheritance is striking. Many families focus on leaving assets to their children without leaving the character necessary to maintain and multiply those assets. They pass down money without passing down the mindset that created it. They transfer wealth without transferring wisdom. The result is often the dissipation of family fortunes within a few generations. Jewish families, by contrast, understand that the most valuable inheritance they can leave is not money, but mentality. They teach their children to think like wealth builders, to see opportunities where others see obstacles, to persist when others quit. They instill the identity of people who create value, solve problems, and build lasting legacies. This principle has practical applications for anyone seeking to build generational wealth. It means investing in character development alongside financial planning. It means teaching children about money management, entrepreneurship, and value creation from an early age. It means modeling the behaviors and attitudes that create prosperity rather than just talking about them. The identity inheritance principle also explains why Jewish communities have been able to rebuild prosperity after devastating losses. When the Nazis destroyed Jewish wealth, seized Jewish assets, and murdered 6 million Jewish people, they couldn't destroy the identity and principles that create wealth. The survivors carried within themselves the mental and spiritual resources necessary to rebuild. They understood that their true inheritance wasn't material. It was the wisdom, character, and identity that no enemy could take away. The third foundation of Jewish wealth addresses one of the most misunderstood aspects of prosperity: the relationship between purpose and profit. King Solomon's greatest achievement wasn't his personal wealth. It was the construction of the temple in Jerusalem. This massive project consumed tremendous resources, employed thousands of workers, and required unprecedented logistical coordination. Yet Solomon undertook this project not for personal glory, but to fulfill his father David's vision and create a place where God could dwell among his people. This story reveals a crucial principle: prosperity without purpose is vanity. Solomon understood that true wealth serves something greater than personal comfort or ego gratification. It serves a mission, a vision, a purpose that transcends individual desires. This understanding transforms the pursuit of wealth from a selfish endeavor into a sacred calling. Napoleon Hill identified this same principle when he wrote that definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all achievement. Hill discovered that successful people don't just want to be rich, they want to be rich for a reason. They have a clear vision of what they want to accomplish with their wealth, and this vision energizes their efforts and guides their decisions. The Jewish approach to purpose-driven prosperity is deeply embedded in their spiritual and cultural traditions. The concept of tikkun olam, repairing the world, suggests that individual success should contribute to collective healing and improvement. Jewish entrepreneurs, innovators, and philanthropists throughout history have understood that their prosperity comes with responsibility. They build wealth not just for themselves, but for their communities and for the world. This purpose-driven approach to wealth creation has practical benefits that extend far beyond moral satisfaction. When prosperity serves a larger purpose, it becomes more sustainable, more meaningful, and more attractive to others. People want to support missions that matter. They want to invest in ventures that create positive change. They want to work for organizations that stand for something significant. Purpose also provides the motivation necessary to overcome the inevitable obstacles that arise in any wealth-building journey. When the goal is merely personal enrichment, setbacks can feel devastating and meaningless. But when wealth serves a higher purpose, setbacks become temporary inconveniences in service of something greater. The purpose provides the emotional and spiritual fuel necessary to persist through difficulties. The Jewish understanding of purpose-driven prosperity also explains why Jewish philanthropy has been so significant throughout history. When you understand that wealth is meant to serve others, giving becomes natural rather than forced. Jewish philanthropists don't give because they feel guilty about their success. They give because they understand that their success was meant to benefit others. This principle has profound implications for modern wealth builders. It suggests that the most successful people are those who can clearly articulate why they want to be wealthy and how their wealth will serve others. It means that before you chase your what, the specific amount of money or level of success you desire, you must clarify your why, the deeper purpose that your prosperity will serve. Purpose-driven prosperity also tends to be more innovative and creative. When wealth serves a mission, it naturally seeks new ways to create value and solve problems. Jewish entrepreneurs have been pioneers in countless fields because they approached business not just as a way to make money, but as a way to make a difference. The fourth foundation of Jewish wealth might surprise those who think of prosperity as requiring endless hustle and constant activity. It's the principle of discipline infused with delight, of creating sacred rhythms that support rather than sabotage long-term success. This principle is beautifully illustrated in Proverbs 6, verse 6. "Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider its ways and be wise. It has no commander, no overseer or ruler, yet it stores its provisions in summer and gathers its food at harvest." The ant doesn't work frantically without purpose or rest. It works according to seasons, rhythms, and natural cycles. It prepares during times of abundance for times of scarcity. It works consistently rather than sporadically. This is the model that Jewish culture has embraced for thousands of years, creating a rhythm of work and rest, effort and reflection that sustains prosperity over generations. Jewish life is built around sacred rhythms that might seem counterproductive to modern productivity culture. The weekly Sabbath requires a complete cessation of work for 24 hours. Daily prayers interrupt the flow of business activities. Regular study sessions take time away from immediate profit-generating activities. Yet these rhythms don't hinder Jewish prosperity. They enhance it. Napoleon Hill recognized the power of organized planning and persistent effort in creating wealth. In his studies of successful individuals, he discovered that wealth builders don't just work hard, they work systematically. They create habits, routines, and systems that support their long-term goals. They understand that success is not the result of sporadic bursts of intense effort, but of consistent, disciplined action sustained over time. The Jewish approach to discipline is unique because it combines rigor with joy. The Sabbath isn't just a rule to follow, it's a delight to anticipate. Study isn't just an obligation, it's a pleasure to pursue. Prayer isn't just a duty, it's a privilege to experience. This combination of discipline and delight creates sustainability that purely duty-based approaches cannot match. This principle has practical applications for anyone seeking to build wealth. It suggests that the most successful people are those who can create systems and habits that support their prosperity goals, while also bringing joy and meaning to their lives. It means finding ways to make wealth-building activities enjoyable rather than burdensome. The rhythm principle also explains why Jewish communities have been able to maintain their prosperity through various economic cycles. When you have established rhythms of saving, investing, learning, and giving, you're less susceptible to market fluctuations and economic downturns. You're building wealth according to principles rather than chasing trends. The Jewish understanding of sacred rhythms also includes the concept of seasons. Just as the ant prepares during summer for winter, Jewish wealth builders understand that there are times to plant, times to cultivate, times to harvest, and times to rest. This seasonal approach to prosperity prevents the burnout that often accompanies purely aggressive wealth-building strategies. Modern applications of this principle might include creating weekly planning sessions, establishing daily learning routines, implementing regular giving practices, and building in periods of rest and reflection. The key is to create rhythms that support long-term prosperity rather than just short-term gains. The fifth foundation of Jewish wealth challenges the individualistic approach to success that dominates modern thinking. It's the principle of community and covenant prosperity, the understanding that lasting wealth is built together rather than in isolation. This principle has been central to Jewish success for thousands of years and explains why Jewish communities have been able to create prosperity even in hostile environments. Jewish success is not primarily about individual achievement, it's about collective elevation. Jewish communities have historically supported each other through business networks, educational institutions, and mutual aid societies. They understand that when the community prospers, individuals prosper, and when individuals prosper, the community benefits. This creates a positive cycle of shared success that amplifies individual efforts. Napoleon Hill identified this same principle when he wrote about the mastermind concept. Hill discovered that successful people don't succeed alone. They succeed by aligning themselves with others who share their vision and complement their abilities. The mastermind principle suggests that when two or more people work together in harmony toward a common goal, they create a third mind that is more powerful than either individual mind working alone. The Jewish approach to community prosperity goes beyond simple networking or business relationships. It's based on covenantal thinking, the idea that we are bound together by shared values, mutual responsibilities, and common destiny. This creates a level of trust and cooperation that purely transactional relationships cannot match. Jewish communities have created institutions that support collective prosperity. These include everything from study groups that enhance everyone's knowledge to investment groups that pool resources for larger opportunities. They've created systems for helping young people start businesses, for supporting families in crisis, and for ensuring that success is shared rather than hoarded. This community-based approach to wealth creation has practical advantages that extend beyond moral considerations. When you're part of a community that supports each other's success, you have access to resources, knowledge, and opportunities that you couldn't access alone. You have people who will invest in your ventures, refer business to you, and support you through difficulties. The Jewish understanding of community prosperity also includes the concept of complementary strengths. Jewish communities have traditionally included people with different skills, knowledge, and resources who can work together to create value. This diversity of strengths, unified by shared values, creates communities that are more resilient and more prosperous than homogeneous groups. This principle has profound implications for modern wealth builders. It suggests that the most successful people are those who can build genuine relationships based on shared values and mutual support. It means investing in community rather than just competing with others. It means looking for ways to help others succeed, knowing that their success contributes to your success. The community principle also explains why Jewish philanthropy and social responsibility have been so significant. When you understand that your prosperity is connected to the prosperity of others, giving becomes strategic rather than just charitable. You invest in community institutions, educational programs, and social initiatives because you understand that these investments strengthen the entire ecosystem that supports your success. Modern applications of this principle might include joining or creating mastermind groups, participating in industry associations, mentoring others in your field, and investing in community development. The key is to move beyond purely transactional relationships to build genuine community based on shared values and mutual support. The sixth foundation of Jewish wealth appears to contradict conventional wisdom about wealth accumulation. It's the principle of generosity and the law of return, the understanding that giving is not the result of wealth, but the cause of it. This principle is beautifully expressed in Proverbs 11, verse 25. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. The Hebrew concept of tzedakah is often translated as charity, but its deeper meaning is righteousness or justice. In Jewish understanding, giving is not optional generosity, it's a righteous obligation. It's not something you do after you become wealthy, it's something you do to become wealthy. This understanding transforms giving from a burden into a strategy, from a duty into a delight. Napoleon Hill recognized this same principle when he studied successful individuals. In Think and Grow Rich, Hill observed that wealthy people give value before they receive value. They understand that the universe operates according to reciprocal laws. What you give out comes back to you, often in multiplied form. Hill discovered that successful people are generous not just with money, but with their time, knowledge, and resources. The Jewish approach to generosity is strategic and systematic. Jewish families traditionally give a percentage of their income regardless of their financial situation. They don't wait until they have enough to start giving. They start giving and then build their wealth. This approach creates a mindset of abundance rather than scarcity, of circulation rather than hoarding. This principle has practical effects that extend beyond spiritual considerations. When you give consistently, you create relationships, build reputation, and develop the kind of character that attracts opportunities. People want to do business with generous people. They want to invest in ventures led by people who share their success. They want to support organizations that contribute to the common good. The Jewish understanding of generosity also includes the concept of different types of giving. The great Jewish philosopher Maimonides identified 8 levels of giving, with the highest level being helping someone become self-sufficient. This understanding suggests that the most powerful form of generosity is not just giving money, but giving opportunities, knowledge, and support that enable others to prosper. This principle has profound implications for wealth builders. It suggests that the most successful people are those who can identify ways to create value for others and then share that value generously. It means looking for opportunities to help others succeed, to solve problems, and to make positive contributions to the world. The generosity principle also explains why Jewish communities have been able to maintain their prosperity through various challenges. When you have established patterns of giving and receiving, you create resilience that individual wealth accumulation cannot provide. You build social capital that can be more valuable than financial capital. Modern applications of this principle might include establishing regular giving practices, looking for ways to add value to others, sharing knowledge and resources freely, and building businesses that create value for customers and communities. The key is to understand that generosity is not just morally right, it's strategically smart. The 7th and final foundation of Jewish wealth addresses the most mysterious and powerful aspect of prosperity, the relationship between faith and success. This principle is expressed in Proverbs 3, verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. But the Jewish understanding of faith is not passive waiting. It's active trust that energizes action. The Hebrew word emunah is often translated as faith, but its deeper meaning includes faithfulness, reliability, and active trust. It's not just believing that something will happen, it's acting as if it will happen while trusting in outcomes beyond your control. This kind of faith creates the confidence necessary to take risks, make investments, and pursue opportunities that others might avoid. Napoleon Hill recognized this same principle when he wrote about the power of faith in achieving success. Hill discovered that successful people have an unshakable belief in their ability to achieve their goals. This faith energizes their imagination, sustains their persistence, and guides their decisions. Hill understood that faith is not just a religious concept, it's a psychological force that can move mountains and build empires. The Jewish approach to faith-based prosperity is practical and action-oriented. Jewish people have historically taken enormous risks, made significant investments, and pursued ambitious goals because they believed that their efforts would be blessed and their work would prosper. This faith gave them the courage to start businesses, enter new markets, and invest in long-term projects. This principle is beautifully illustrated in the story of Abraham, who left his homeland and traveled to an unknown land because he believed God would bless him there. Abraham's faith was not passive, it was active. He packed his belongings, gathered his family, and started walking toward a promise he couldn't see. This kind of faith has characterized Jewish success for thousands of years. The Jewish understanding of faith also includes the concept of hishtadlut, the idea that you must make your best effort while trusting God for the results. This balances faith with action, trust with responsibility. It suggests that faith without works is dead, but works without faith are merely human effort. This principle has practical applications for anyone seeking to build wealth. It suggests that the most successful people are those who can combine careful planning with bold action, who can prepare thoroughly while trusting in outcomes beyond their control. It means having the faith to start before you see the whole staircase, to invest before you know all the outcomes, to act before you have all the information. The faith principle also explains why Jewish communities have been able to rebuild after devastating losses. When you have faith that your efforts will be blessed and your work will prosper, you can start over again and again. You can persist through setbacks that would discourage others. You can see opportunities where others see only obstacles. Modern applications of this principle might include developing the confidence to pursue ambitious goals, taking calculated risks based on careful preparation, persisting through difficulties with faith in ultimate success, and maintaining hope and optimism even in challenging circumstances. The key is to combine active effort with trust in outcomes beyond your control. These 7 foundations of Jewish wealth: wisdom before wealth, inheritance beginning with identity, purpose-driven prosperity, discipline infused with delight, community-based success, generosity as strategy, and faith in motion, create a comprehensive system for building lasting prosperity. They represent thousands of years of tested wisdom, refined through both triumph and tragedy, success and persecution. What makes these principles so powerful is not just their individual effectiveness, but their synergistic interaction. When you seek wisdom first, you develop the identity of a successful person. When you operate with clear purpose, you create the discipline necessary to achieve it. When you build community, you multiply your generosity. When you give generously, you strengthen your faith. When you act in faith, you gain wisdom from experience. These principles create a positive cycle that builds momentum over time. The Jewish understanding of wealth is fundamentally different from modern approaches because it recognizes that true prosperity is spiritual, mental, and generational rather than just material. It's about creating systems and principles that can generate wealth across different circumstances, economic cycles, and even different countries. It's about building character that can handle wealth, wisdom that can multiply it, and values that can sustain it. These principles have enabled Jewish communities to prosper in medieval Europe, rebuild after the Holocaust, create successful businesses in America, and build innovative companies in modern Israel. They've worked across centuries, cultures, and economic systems because they address the fundamental principles that govern prosperity rather than just the temporary tactics that might work in specific situations. The most remarkable aspect of these principles is their accessibility. They don't require special talent, inherited wealth, or extraordinary circumstances. They require only the willingness to learn, grow, and apply timeless wisdom to contemporary challenges. They require the courage to think differently, act differently, and persist when others quit. As we conclude this exploration of Jewish wealth principles, remember that these are not just historical curiosities or cultural observations. They are practical tools that can transform your relationship with money, success, and legacy. They are tested strategies that have created prosperity for thousands of years and can create prosperity for you. The secret of Jewish wealth is not really a secret at all. It's a set of principles that have been preserved, practiced, and passed down through generations. It's a way of thinking, a way of living, and a way of building that anyone can learn and apply. It's the understanding that true wealth is not just about accumulating money, but about creating value, building character, and leaving a legacy that enriches the world. If this message awakened something in your spirit, subscribe to the channel now, leave a comment with the principle that resonated most with you, and share this video with someone who is ready to build true wealth from the inside out. You were not born to survive. You were born to prosper with purpose. We'll see you in the next episode of Wisdom, Legacy, and Transformation.